As Americans, we ask a lot out of our family vehicles. But none exerts itself harder than the full-size, 3-row SUV. These 7- and 8-seat SUVs are tasked with shuttling family members to school, jobs, and sports practice during the week. On the weekend, these workhorses support our hobbies, from towing horses or boats on trailers to taking us down remote 2-tracks to our favorite hiking or hunting spots. While we play, they work even harder. Due to the honeydew records we put upon these huge family SUVs, makers fabricate them in tents. They commonly highlight huge V8 engines, 4-wheel drive, and full-measure pickup-based stages. Given what number of occupations we anticipate that these SUVs will do, our testing will solicit more from them, as well. Over the typical criteria, driving, riding, and dealing with, in addition to the capacity to serenely swallow no less than 7 passengers and their cargo, all without using up every last cent, we're additionally going to request that our trucks tow a trailer stacked with Honda Pioneer side-by-sides all-Tahoe ND finish and unpleasant and tumble off-road impediment course. Our in-bike criteria was pretty simple: 3 rows of seats inside, a minimum towing capacity of 7,000 pounds, 4-wheel drive, and a $65,000 price cap, which, shockingly, is about the average transaction price for this segment. The SUV most synonymous with this segment is the Chevrolet Tahoe and its extended-length twin, the Suburban. The undisputed segment bestseller, the Tahoe, and the virtually identical GMC Yukon, has been continually improved since the current generation made its debut 3 years ago. Our 2018 Chevrolet Tahoe 4WD-LT started its life as a mid-level model but is loaded with options, including the Z71 Midnight Edition package, which adds off-road tires, an off-road-oriented suspension, a revised front bumper, black paint, and some decals. Our 4-wheel drive Tahoe is powered by the standard 5.3-liter V8 paired with a 6-speed automatic. It's intense living in the shadows, however Ford has done its best to guarantee the new 2018 Expedition gets its possibility at the spotlight. Our 2018 Ford Expedition XLT 4x4, similar to every new Expedition, is worked with lessons mastered building up the top-rated, Truck of the Year winning Ford F-150. Its smooth new sheet metal is made of aluminum, and in the engine it sports a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 combined with a 10-speed automatic transmission and discretionary all- or 4-wheel drive. Our analyzer is furnished with the last mentioned. Enormous full-measure SUVs aren't only an American thing. Toyota has been playing in the section since 2000 with the Sequoia. Albeit to a great extent unaltered since it made its presentation in 2008, Toyota gave it a modest bunch of updates for the new year. Our 2018 Toyota Sequoia TRD Sport 4x4 is the most up-to-date trim level, and it's similar to whatever is left of the lineup, gets LED headlights and some infotainment refreshes this year. In spite of the Sequoia's new nose, in the engine it troopers on with a 5.7-liter V8 matched with a 6-speed auto and discretionary 4-wheel drive. Nissan has likewise been a player in the section with the Armada. The second-gen Armada just arrived stateside in 2016, yet it has been stowing away on display on American lanes since 2010 as the Infiniti QX56, now called the QX80, and all-inclusive as the utilitarian Nissan Patrol off-roader. The US spec Armada is a mess of the two, sporting the last sheet metal and the previous inside an engine, a brutal 5.6-liter V8 mated to a 7-speed automatic. Our analyzer is a stacked 2018 Nissan Armada Platinum Show furnished with discretionary 4-wheel drive. Also, that conveys us to our last contender. A big test should be only that, so to round out our field, we welcomed a SUV that shrewdly straddles the line between full-measure crossover and full-estimate SUV. Our 2018 Dodge Durango 4RT is simply somewhat greater than numerous average-size crossovers and marginally littler than these full-estimate SUVs. Its wheelbase is quite longer than the Tahoe's, yet it's around 2 inches shorter in general length. The main SUV not implicit the old-school body-on-frame mold. Our Durango analyzer includes the discretionary 5.7-liter V8 sending power through an 8-speed automatic and a 4-wheel drive framework obtained from the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Ride and handling. With 2 weeks of broad testing to handle, we kicked things off with our True Assessment Circle, which incorporates city lanes, roadway speed extents, twisty roads, and segments of blacktop so terrible that the area is ceaselessly endeavoring to repave it. Essentially, it's just about everything these SUVs would need to handle in a given month in a clean 21-mile extent of seaside SoCal. The contrasts between the 5 SUVs were promptly obvious from the get-go. The Chevrolet Tahoe feels just as truckish as the Silverado stage it rides on. Despite the fact that the Tahoe isn't the main SUV here riding on a pickup stage, the Sequoia and Expedition ride on stepping stool frames in light of those of the Tundra and the F-150. It's the just a single to utilize a pickup's live back pivot, which means both back wheels share a hub, and therefore any effect felt by one tire likewise influences the other. At any rate, it swaps the pickup's leaf springs for better riding loops. Commonly used in pickup trucks in light of the fact that their innate quality exceeds the ride quality punishment the outline endures, its appearance in the Tahoe is likely a cost-investment funds measure that adversely influences its ride and dealing with. The Tahoe's back hub configuration influences the SUV to feel hardened, however agreeable, and occupied while going not far off. The discretionary off-road tires don't help the Chevys directing through corners. Possibly, they exchange numb guiding feel for forceful tread for off-road utilize. On the off chance that the Tahoe is on the unforgiving end of the ride range, at that point the Nissan Armada is on the delicate end. The Armada's ride is generally supple and skims over most effects, just leisure activity horsing on harsher, tedious knocks. The delicate suspension does, notwithstanding, imply that the Armada inclines a ton through corners, sending unsecured cargo flying as the Nissan rounds twists. The most joyful SUV in corners by a long shot is the Dodge Durango. The controlling wheel in our sport arranged RT analyzer is immediate and informative, telling you what the front tires are up to up until the point that you push things excessively far and the Dodge moves you back with a trace of delicate understeer. The Durango's ride is entirely awesome, as well. In spite of the fact that it feels stiffer than the Tahoe, it dispatches knocks in a one-and-done way. Certainly the sportiest in the group, relate road test proofreader Eric Iapana said. Not astounding given it's the littlest and most agile of the cluster. The Ford falls somewhere close to the Dodge and Chevy on the hardened end and Nissan on the delicate end of the ride and taking care of range. Outfitted with a discretionary off-road arranged bundle highlighting an off-road tire, it experiences far less ride and taking care of exchange offs than the Tahoe. It has great body control, relates supervisor Scott Evans said. There's shockingly little body move for such a vast vehicle, and it moves over onto the outside wheels easily unfailingly. The Expedition handles quite well, as well, with precise however not chatty input from the wheel. Ride and handling. The execution recipe for SUVs in this class used to be entirely straightforward, huge, sluggish V8 combined with a 4 or 5-speed transmission. My how things have changed. The greatest takeoff from yesteryear can be found in the engine of the new Ford Expedition. Ford jettisoned its 5.4-liter V8 late in the past age Expedition's life for its EcoBoost twin-turbo V6, and the Blue Oval multiplied down on its dedication by matching the most up-to-date form of the EcoBoost V6, now producing 375 horsepower and 470 pounds-ft of torque, with a 10-speed automatic transmission. The advantages of the new powertrain combined with the weight funds of its aluminum bodyboards mean the Expedition was among the snappiest in our test, quickening from 0 to 60 miles per hour in only 6.2 seconds and requiring 14.8 seconds to traverse the quarter mile at 91.7 miles per hour. You'll never miss a V8 with this engine. It's responsive and has a major, substantial torque bend. The gearbox is awesome, as well, moving intangibly out of sight and continually picking the correct apparatus. The brawny Nissan Armada is only a hair snappier than the Expedition. Controlled by a Tennessee-constructed 5.6-liter V8 making 390 horsepower and 384 pounds-ft of torque and mated to a 7-speed automatic, the Armada ties the Expedition's 0-60 run and quarter-mile time however is going marginally quicker, at 94.0 miles per hour, as it goes by the quarter-mile stamp. Albeit the majority of us observed the Armada's throttle reaction to be excessively forceful, we as a whole extremely preferred the Nissan's powertrain. The engine is intense, and it needs you to know it, Evans said. What's more, the transmission is smooth and brilliant. The Dodge Durango likewise finds real success. Its 5.7-liter V8 makes 360 horsepower and 390 pounds-ft of torque and is associated with a fast-moving 8-speed automatic. It'll hustle from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.5 seconds and through the quarter mile simply behind the Nissan and Ford, in 14.9 seconds at 93.0 miles per hour. It's unquestionably the sportiest of the group, Iapana said. Nishimoto concurred, the engine pulls hard and sounds extraordinary. It gets extremely throaty when you ring it out, however it's quelled when you're driving it ordinarily. For a vehicle that is basically 10 years of age, the Toyota Sequoia's powertrain is quite decent. Its 381 HP, 401 lb-ft 5.7-liter V8 gets the Toyota moving easily, if a bit gradually, however kick down a bit into the throttle to get the 6-speed auto to downshift, and it'll hurry. It sounds great and pulls solid, however while quickening you can feel the powertrain vibrating the controlling wheel, Iapana said. Rectin included, the engine conveys adequate power, however moves take until the end of time. Feels old. Despite its age, the Toyota can keep running with the new folks. At the track it quickens from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.8 seconds, and it goes through the quarter mile in 15.2 seconds at 91.6 miles per hour. Raising the back is the Chevrolet Tahoe. Some portion of the fault can set on the Midnight Edition's off-road tires, however the Chevy's powertrain is similarly mindful. The Tahoe's 5.3-liter V8 makes 355 horsepower and 383 pounds-ft of torque, minimal measure of drive and torque in this field, and regardless of it being the second lightest SUV here, its energy-to-weight proportion is as yet the most exceedingly bad in the group. It's not the engine's blame, the 6-speed under-quickening treats gears 2 through 5 like Trump treats Tiffany, it stays away from them however much as could be expected. That implies not as much as great test outcomes. 0-60 miles per hour comes in 7.9 seconds, and the quarter mile takes 16.2 seconds at 87.9 miles per hour. With about portion of the purchasers in this section towing at any rate once every year, we likewise thought it was imperative to test how well they towed and pulled. We acquired a trailer with 2 Honda Pioneer side-by-sides on it for an aggregate weight of 4,700 pounds to perceive how well each dealt with a heap. With the Expedition's most noteworthy appraised towing limit, 9,200 pounds, it's maybe obvious that it was our most loved hauler. It got up to interstate speeds speedier than some other SUV and was the most responsive when passing. It has huge amounts of pulling power on the grades, and the powertrain completes a great job of engine braking on decreases, Iapana said. The Armada was a nearby second decision in our towing tests. Look at the outline on page TK for the full towing outcomes. Albeit most purchasers will never take any of these SUVs off-road, their capacity to handle a light off-road course, and, well, a tremendous mud puddle, specifically connects to how well they'll have the capacity to deal with snow, national stop trails, earth roads, and some other unanticipated deterrent. The Expedition and Tahoe, both with off-road bundles and tires, scarcely flickered in our tests. The Durango, as well, was shockingly able, insofar as personality, its ground freedom and low-hanging front guard. The Nissan and Toyota, then again, were both disillusioning. While the 3 Americans scrambled and slithered through all that we tossed at them, the 2 Japanese SUVs battled a ton, requiring 4 low in several spots. We speculate a significant part of the fault can be put on crappy road tires, yet on the other hand the Durango did fine and dandy. Efficiency. It's anything but difficult to expel fuel economy as superfluous in this fragment, however given that California gas costs are back over $3 a gallon and with a normal fuel tank size of 25.26 gallons in this group, visit fill-ups will be costly. Arranging by their EPA Consolidated Fuel Economy scores, the Ford Expedition, with its 17.2219 mpg city, interstate, joined rating, is the most productive, taken after nearly by the Chevy Tahoe and Dodge Durango, with the Armada and Sequoia raising the back. Never content with what the man lets us know, our emissions analytics group snared their test apparatus to perceive how effective our 5 SUVs truly are, utilizing our real MPG score. Turns out the feds were correct, for the most part. 2nd, 4th, and 5th don't change, however the Ford and Dodge swap spots. The Durango's 16.0, 25.1, 19.1 real MPG score was the best in the test, and the turbocharged Expedition slipped to 3rd with a 14.6, 22.3, 17.2 real MPG score. Cockpit cabin. Given these subs' off-used status as road trip cruisers and their everyday moving obligations, passenger comfort is a best thought in our test. The normal drive in the US is 25.4 minutes one path, as indicated by the Census Bureau, and each line of seats will undoubtedly be being used, so we gave careful consideration to the lodges of every SUV. There is by all accounts a distinction in how to approach the lodge from every producer. In the event that you need a genuine extravagance encounter, you'd apparently need to look no more remote than the Nissan Armada. With our platinum analyzer highlighting swanky consumed orange seats finish with tufted cowhide entryway boards, the Armada establishes an extraordinary first connection. The seats are agreeable, and the initial 2 lines are extensive. Things go into disrepair from that point, however. This is the most rich inside, regardless of whether it's last-gen Infiniti, Evans said. The vast majority won't realize that, yet they will see the little high-contrast screen in the bunch, the occupied, catch-insane focus stack, and the little infotainment screen with dated illustrations. The infotainment framework isn't the main thing abandoning is scratching our heads. The Armada's third line is by a long shot the littlest of the group. Anybody bigger than a little tyke will have their head brushing the low roof, headrest delving into their spine, and knees in their chest. The Tahoe keeps the Armada company when it comes to scant third-row space and comfort, though the Chevy's is slightly more humane, but is a remarkably well-executed package otherwise. The Tahoe's interior is my favorite part about it, Nishimoto said. It looks modern, and the materials feel nice for this class. There are plenty of USB ports throughout the cabin and little storage areas too. The Chevy also features a snappy Apple CarPlay-friendly infotainment system and a Wi-Fi hotspot to keep everyone occupied on road trips. The Dodge Durango is the smallest SUV here, but you wouldn't necessarily know it inside. Due to some impressive packaging wizardry, the Durango's 3 rows and cargo areas all sport middle-of-the-pack space while still having city-friendly dimensions. The second row is slightly smaller than the rest of the pack, but it still feels plenty roomy and comes with all the creature comforts you'd expect. The third row is accessed pretty easily and can fit adults in a pinch. We also really like Dodge's CarPlay-friendly infotainment system, which is the most feature-rich of the group. There's still some room for improvement, though. The optional rear seat entertainment package puts a Blu-ray player in the front center console, which eliminates any storage capability it once had, and the third row is just one of 2 here without any USB outlets to charge up devices. Dodge has done an impressive job at keeping the Durango, which made its debut back in 2010, feeling fresh inside, but Toyota hasn't done the same legwork. Getting into the Sequoia is like stepping into a time machine. It has velour cloth seats straight out of a 2005 Camry, the tacked-on infotainment system requires a reach clear across the cabin to operate, and there's just a single USB port. Although sorely lacking in features, according to Nishimoto, the fundamentals are right. The cabin is downright massive, with plenty of room in all 3 rows. You can fit grown-ass men in the third row, Recton said. The problem is there are no USB ports or anything for kids, or grown-ass men, to occupy themselves with, unless they want to play slug bug. The Ford Expedition seems to benefit greatly from being the newest SUV of the bunch. It's the only one to effectively blend passenger comfort with interior features. The F-150-inspired cabin features huge storage cubbies, plenty of cup holders, and plenty of room for adults and their cargo in all 3 rows. Both the second and third rows tilt back and recline, and the Ford won praise for how easy it is to access the third row. The second row slides forward and out of the way with a light touch. This being a 21st century SUV, each row of seats gets plenty of power ports, USB outlets, and storage cubbies, and second row passengers also have the ability to control infotainment functions from the back of the center console. And yes, there's CarPlay integration. Safety. There are 2 ways of looking at safety in this segment: crash test scores and active safety tech. On the former front, we have an incomplete set of data because 3/5 of our field hasn't been tested yet by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, or the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, IIHS. The Tahoe has been tested by NHTSA, scoring 4 stars out of 5 overall, and the Durango is rated 4 stars overall by NHTSA and scored good, the highest possible rating, in most IIHS tests. On the active safety front, each vehicle here sports some sort of technological measure designed to make you a safer driver, such as blind spot warning or rear-view cameras. Aside from the Ford, whose sole set of supplemental safety tech was limited to blind spot monitors and a backup camera on our base-level Expedition XLT, forward collision alert, adaptive cruise control, and lane keep assist are available on higher-spec models. Most of the other systems functioned without having to think twice about them. A skydiver wouldn't want to think twice about their parachute, would they? The 2 minor gripes we had were with the Armada and the Sequoia. The Nissan, which has the most comprehensive safety tech, would regularly slow down in heavy traffic thanks to its intelligent distance control software. But once the slow traffic cleared, the Armada's smart cruise system was scarily pokey at getting the Nissan back up to speed. We'd have turned it off, but good luck navigating through the Nissan's digital instrument cluster in traffic. As for the Toyota, well, its lane keep assist software doesn't seem to do anything other than mindlessly beep at the driver, prompting all of us to shut it off. A turned-off safety system doesn't do anybody a lick of good. Value's a touchy subject. To some, it's all about price. To others it's about features or space. It's hard to ignore the value proposition of our two cheapest entrants, the $55,535 Toyota Sequoia TRD Sport and the $56,555 Dodge Durango RT. The former offers up the most interior space for the price, though you get little else for your money. The latter offers up a reasonably roomy interior, plus leather, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, a premium audio system, and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. Although more expensive than both the Dodge and Toyota, we found the $64,220 Ford Expedition XLT offered up the best balance of interior room and creature comforts. Cost of ownership. There are a lot of different ways of looking at cost of ownership, so I highly recommend checking out our IntelliChoice source chart for the full cost of ownership breakdown. If we focus solely on how much each vehicle will cost to run and maintain over 5 years, the Tahoe comes out ahead at $25,396 over 60 months, with the Expedition close behind at $25,636. The Toyota and Dodge barely lag behind the Chevy and Ford, but the Nissan handily brings up the rear, its high insurance, fuel, and repair costs giving it a $31,849 cost to owners over the same use period. Conclusion. Ultimately, when it came down to deciding which SUV best balanced overall performance and road manners with packaging, fuel efficiency, and value, our individual rankings largely mirrored one another's. Last place goes to the Toyota Sequoia. We all liked how roomy its cabin was, but that's about it. Everything about the Toyota feels old, from its road manners to its interior design and materials choices. It's the cheapest truck here, but your money goes a lot further with the rest of the pack. The Chevrolet and Nissan traded blows for third and fourth place, but ultimately the Tahoe hauled off with the bronze. The majority of us preferred the Armada's powertrain, ride, and towing ability over the Tahoe's, but the Chevy's slightly more usable third row, better infotainment system, and impressive off-road performance, not to mention its higher relative fuel economy and lower cost of ownership, give it the edge. Like in golf, it's not about the good shots you hit, Breckton said. It's about the bad ones. And the Tahoe's bad shots aren't nearly as bad as the Armada's. As Evans puts it, our second-place finisher punches way above its weight. What's with all the sports analogies? Despite being the smallest vehicle here, the Dodge Durango still does everything nearly as well as our first-place finisher at a bargain price. The Durango feels both sporty and upscale, it's efficient, and it's safe, but its slightly smaller cabin and higher running costs means it just misses out on first place. The Ford Expedition is a true jack of all trades. It'll do anything its owner could ever ask of it without breaking a sweat. It expertly balances city and highway drivability with off-road capability and segment-leading tow capacity. It has more room inside than a New York studio apartment, features a modern infotainment system, and is among the most efficient and cheapest SUVs here to run over the long term. Whether working or playing, the Ford Expedition is a game-changer in the segment, and it's our unanimous pick for winner of this big test. 5th, Toyota Sequoia TRD Sport 4WD 10 years old and feels every year of it. It's big and cheap. If that's all you need, you'll be okay. But don't go looking for more here. 4th, Nissan Armada Platinum 4WD. Despite its comfortable ride and prompt powertrain, its useless third row, maddeningly complex electronic controls, and high cost of ownership keep it off the podium. 3rd, Chevrolet Tahoe LT 4WD Z71. The bestseller gets by thanks to its slightly more usable third row, better fuel economy, stronger off-road performance thanks to tires, and modern infotainment system. 2nd, Dodge Durango 4RT. The Durango is getting on in years, but Dodge has kept it fresh. You'll lack some interior space but gain a great driving experience, nice materials, and a cheap sticker price. 1st, Ford Expedition XLT FX4 4x4. Spacious, smart, comfortable, quick, and efficient, the Expedition does it all well. On-road, off-road, towing, you name it, this is the best in class.